So it's time. We talked about it in chalk. We think that Cook, Edmonds, and Connor are all going to be extremely highly owned with Josh Jacobs in that mix as well. But there is a fifth running back that I think is going to come in with less ownership, but is equally as interesting this week. The highest priced running back on the slate at 8,500, the great Christian McCaffrey, returning to action, full practice on Wednesday, has not yet been activated from IR as we record on Wednesday night, but I'm expecting that even potentially by the time people are listening to this on Thursday morning, McCaffrey will be activated, and all signs are pointing to him being good to go in this matchup against the Chiefs. How do you feel about Christian McCaffrey in his first game back?
Man, it's been, 7 weeks since CMC has played. His coaches say that he looks sharp, he looks good, he's practicing in full, and I think he's fully healthy and ready to go. And at 8,500, it is really hard not to play him. I played him the first 2 weeks of the year when he was 10K. And this is a player that we know is going to sit at 10K when he's healthy. He is the best fantasy player in the NFL, gets used like an absolute workhorse running back. Now that may come down with Mike Davis and how Mike Davis has performed, but I would still expect McCaffrey to be used heavily in the passing game. I would still expect him to see 18 to 22 rushing attempts, which is still elite usage for him. And man, at 8,500 in a great game environment against the Chiefs, a high scoring game, man, it is so hard to not plug him in at 8,500. You're just getting a discount. That's what it comes down to. He's a 10K player and you're getting him at 8,500.
Yeah.
I might play him. I might play him in cash. I will say that.
I'll say that I don't think that it's wrong. I don't know if I'll play him in cash because I think that it's hard to play both him and Dalvin Cook. I think Dalvin Cook's spot is a little bit better, and that Connor and Edmonds are such good plays that you don't necessarily have to go there. But I do want to be very clear in saying that I don't think he's a bad cash play. I'm not worried about him coming off of injury. They wouldn't play him if he wasn't ready. We saw it last week. There was speculation he would come back in that Thursday night game against the Falcons. They held him back, and I think that if they are going to activate him in this spot, it's because he is fully good to go. We talked about this on the recap episode last week about Dalvin Cook, and why was Dalvin Cook's ownership suppressed? Why was he 10% owned in the nut matchup last week? Well, it's because people are scared to play these guys coming off of injury. We are not. Now, you add that together with the fact that Christian McCaffrey is fantasy football's number one asset. He's coming off of a 15% price drop. Like you said, 10K in both games, week 1 and week 2. Now he's 8,500. And, the question is, do you think that he's going to be producing 15% less fantasy points than he would, if he were quote unquote fully healthy? And I think the answer is no. You mentioned Mike Davis. I think if McCaffrey came back after Mike Davis's first 3 weeks when he was averaging 25 fantasy points per game, then yeah, maybe Mike Davis would handle 30% of the work or 25%, whatever it is. Mike Davis has completely fallen off a cliff. Went from averaging 25 fantasy points per game in his first 3 starts in place of McCaffrey to averaging under 10 fantasy points per game over the last 3 games. And I think that they need to get Christian McCaffrey involved. I think they know that, and I'm expecting him to handle at least 80% plus snaps in his first game back. He's a monster play to me.
It's like, for me, how can you say those statistics and not play him, especially if we project for him to get 80+% of the snaps? And then if you take a look at the DraftKings blurb under him, apparently Matt Rule has hinted at McCaffrey recapturing his workhorse role that he had in week 1 and week 2, which would absolutely just dispel Mike Davis even coming into the game. So if McCaffrey gets 90% of the snaps, 90% of the touches, and work in the receiving game, and he obviously has massive touchdown upside, I don't know how you can fade him, honestly. And maybe people aren't going to be on it this week. Maybe we're the only 2 ones that are on it for cash. Maybe we're complete donkeys. But I think he is at the least the second best play on the board for me. He is my number 2 behind Dalvin Cook this week.
I'll be honest with you, I completely agree with that. Actually, well, I'd put him third because I love James Conner so much, but that's strictly points per dollar. If we're talking raw points, I think McCaffrey would be second, if not first, to be completely honest with you. It's just a matter of lineup, like roster construction, right? It's a matter of, Edmonds and Conner both being sub 7K and then what you can fit by playing only one of the two guys above 8K. So that's the real only reason. Like, I didn't play Christian McCaffrey in the first 2 weeks because he was 10K, despite being such a great play. You just couldn't fit it. I think it might be similar this week, but I do think he's a good cash play. He will be in my cash pool. And if he somehow comes in at low ownership, if we are on an island with this take, then God, I mean, fire off in every GPP line. I'll lock him in 100%. Swear to God.
Yeah, I mean, you don't got to tell me twice about playing Christian McCaffrey. Like I said, I played him those 2 weeks when he was 10K just due to his massive floor/ceiling combo. So, man, you don't got to tell me to play Christian McCaffrey.